Now, there are a couple other principles in our book that we think tie in really nicely. And we're just going to say these kind of fall naturally after being a consultant. And one of them is communicating healthy expectations, which it isn't always easy for those of you or where you are, where we are, where there's super highly academic, highly achieving, often high wealth communities. And the expectations that we have, the things that we really want for our children. And of course, you want these things for your children because they're your children, doggone it. Sometimes those things teeter over from being kind of healthy into more toxic ones. But do you want to riff on that a little?
Sure. So, well, I know I used to do a lot of psychotherapy in the first 15 years or so of in my career. What I noticed is how often I would see a 35 or 40-year-old for the first session, and I'd say, "How can I help?" And they say, "I feel like I've spent the first 35 years of my life trying to live up to other people's expectations, and now I'm trying to figure out what's important to me." And so I've had this in the back of my mind for years. And also, Ned and I learned while we were working on this book that excessive pressure to excel is the fourth leading cause of adolescent unwellness. And one of our friends did a study and went into three high schools outside of Columbus, Ohio, and he gave these kids, all the high school kids, measures of anxiety and depression. And then he had them, and really, it's shockingly high levels of anxiety and depression. Then he asked them, he said, "What are the major sources of your stress?" And all 12 had to do with the school, academic stress, pressure, homework, that kind of stuff. And so much of it was pressure to not disappoint parents. And so we studied a lot of in the last two books about what do we know about parental expectations. And what we know is that they're really powerful. They have
Mm.
a very strong correlation with achievement. But also we know that the healthiest and the most powerful kinds of expectations are, I have confidence that you can. I believe in you. I anticipate that you're going to do well because you're working hard at it and you're competent, as opposed to you need to get that A up to a B or else kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's be a consequence because we talk about the healthy expectation with the communication of healthy expectation, which is that I have confidence that you can, versus toxic, which is you need to, you must, because the latter, it's toxic because it's coercive and it lowers sense of control. And
And it sure
also,
works again, it sure works against connection. If
man,
when any of us feel like people love us because of how we perform.